What is the most powerful trait we have? You need power, speed. Let your imagination do the rest.
Undisputed, the Mexican Monster Pack out now.
Boxing King Media, we're here. It's Monday evening. The weather's turned nasty, and Dominic King, I've managed to prize you out your house, Dom. It's late in the evening, so I appreciate you coming out. And yeah, what a weekend of boxing. But before we talk about boxing, I think you've got about 400 plus people sat eagerly waiting to see if they've won your diet book.
Well, we had 400 replies, around about 400 replies off the competition, and some people got the name right, some people got the weight category right, but only a handful of people got the name and the weight category I was looking for.
So just for context, we did the prize last week, and there was a question, and 5 winners are going to basically win your diet book.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is selling. Just remind them what the question was, and then tell us what the answer was.
The question was who was the most successful Ingle fighter in Brendan Ingle's family, his brother. Which brother was it, and what weight category was it that he was most successful at? And the answer was Jimmy Ingle, and it was flyweight.
Big up Jimmy Ingle. What was his record?
Oh, no idea.
But he was the most successful.
He was the most successful. That's when I used to talk to my dad, his brothers, back when they were alive. There's only 2 of them left now, Tony and one of the sisters. There's only 2 of them left. Jimmy was the man. So they were all agreed on that. I can always remember Dad saying, he was brilliant. So he was the one that they all aspired to be. And it's funny because everybody's been on BoxRec, they've been all over researching it, but they had to watch the video, I think, to get the right answer.
Brilliant.
So we got so out of that we got 12. We actually got 12 correct answers, and I've got the 12 in my pocket in bits of paper here, so all wrapped up.
So you was going to do this on Instagram?
I was going to do it on Instagram, but
so we decided let's just do it in the interview because this is going to go out hopefully ASAP tonight. So you got 12 names.
I've got 12 names in these folded pieces of paper here. Look at this.
Let me just zoom out.
That's where you are, right in my hand, right there. I'm going to put them back in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull them out randomly, blind.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give them the names. I'm going to save the names. So here's the first one. The first one of 5 is Advertising Prime, at Advertising Prime. That's 1.
All right, so whoever that is, Advertising Prime. So all the winners, you need to DM Dom with the address details.
The next one, at 4M1L.
There you go, that's the second.
I know
winner.
what that is. I've got the message still on my phone. That's the
winner.
second one. A good rummage around in here. People think I'm playing with myself, but I'm not. The next one, at Tariq _10_10. So Tariq will be happy.
Yeah.
That's 3. Number 4 is at Ridwan.86. Ridwan.86. And the last one is at Mr. Ratu. He's been a follower of mine for a long time, big boxing fan. So he'll be happy about that because he's always trying to get free stuff off me. Mr. Ratu.
There you go.
In fact, I think he's had a diet off Greg. I think Greg got him in great shape. So there we go. They're the 5 winners. So we're going to save them for later, and I'm going to message them, or they can message me with their addresses, and we'll send them off the book. So that's that done.
Congratulations to all the 5 of you for winning the Dominic Ingle diet book.
And these are the rest of the people who didn't quite make it. They're all there, but we're not going to read them out.
And also, just to let everyone know, we are going to be doing another competition next time round. Dom's finally launching Ingle Gym merchandise.
Yeah, we've got some vests, training tops, sweat tops, tracksuits. So I'm going to put that on the Instagram or the Ingle Gym Instagram, and you'll be able to get it from there.
Okay, and we'll let you know next time round where you can get that, but the Ingle Gym merchandise is coming out very soon. So let's jump into the boxing, Dom. We'll quickly go through your good friend Lawrence Okoli. You picked him to win on points, and he won on points in a scrappy fight, but he did tear his bicep. I don't know if you've seen the picture of his bicep. It looked a bit nasty. So he basically fought with one hand for most of the fight, but he managed to grind out a points decision and against a very dangerous Kevin Lerona.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just doesn't impress me. I'm sorry, but you know. He don't impress me, Lawrence Okoli. It was a bit of a labour performance, to be honest. You know, you're probably better as a cruiserweight. I can't see him making a big dent moving up to heavyweight. But listen, he got the win. Pleased for Joe Gallagher that Joe got him the win. It's a nasty injury, the bicep tear. It can easily be repaired, and I would imagine he's gone straight to the hospital and got that done. Pull it back through and attach it, and it doesn't really affect you if you get it put back properly. But it's an easy injury to get. I know one of the Yafais had both of them done. Both his bicep tendons done, I think. I know a few people have had it done in the past, and it's repaired quite easily. So, you know, I wish him a speedy recovery, and we can, you know, wait to see him again.
Okay, but surely you must get credit for grinding a points decision with one
A
arm.
win's a win, and boxing's all about winning. It's not, you know. Listen, people say to me that Johnny Nelson used to bore him to death, but Lawrence takes it to an all new level. But that's just the way it is. It's like he's getting the win, and you know, I would imagine in the future there's going to be another fighter comes along who's worse than him. But you know, he makes Johnny Nelson look like Superman.
Right, moving on to the main event. A couple of bits I want to talk to you about. You know, I've kind of discussed these with a few people now, so I just want to get your opinion on it. We obviously saw all the stuff that USYK and Dubois went through in the build-up of the fight. You know, they started off with that push when they did the launch press conference, and then obviously he was called a cheater, and he had his faith questioned, and then obviously the low blow stuff's been going on and on for quite a while now, and obviously he's had accusations of having stuff in his cross, all that kind of stuff. He doesn't really give a lot away, but the last few press conferences he's just left the building straight after the press conference, not done any interviews. But he specifically said at the final press conference last week, he said that he would stop Daniel Dubois. And I spoke to Alex Krasek, his lifelong promoter, who says he's never ever made a prediction like that in a fight. From your experience and from what you saw, do you think there might be an element of him being pissed off, basically?
No, I think with Usyk, he's a very clever fighter. And I've said this about other fighters having rematches, and one was Cole Froch against George Groves. And I think me and Kell Brook had a bet, and he thought George Groves was going to beat him. And I said, Cole will beat him. No, George, I didn't first time. I said, if you don't beat the likes of Cole Froch the first time when you've had him out on the feet, if you don't beat him that first time, you're not beating him the second time. I says, Froch will stop him. And he did. And it's the same with Usyk. Usyk beat him, I think, in 8 rounds last time. And there's no way was that fight probably going to go as many as that round, because Usyk learned all he needed to know about Dubois in those 8 rounds. Came off the floor from a body shot, a low blow, whatever, and knocked him out. And he did him in 5 this time. So I think the confidence, it won't have been wound up, because I don't think that's his style. I think if you get if Usyk gets wound up and forgets his game plan, he's probably beatable. So he keeps himself calm, and that's probably one of his strong points. So I think he's just had it worked out exactly what he's going to do. And he did it. Instead of this time hitting him with a straight right-hand jab, a little short right-hand jab, which put Dubois down, I think, in the last fight and finished him. It was a backhand left hook, which is his trademark shot. He caught Tyson with that shot, had him all over the place, couldn't finish him. Did Tony Bellew with the same shot, and obviously he's done Daniel with that exactly same shot. So it's his favourite shot, and it's his pot shot.
We go to fight night, and then obviously the big talking point that, to be fair, is kind of blown up in the last couple of hours on social media. I know you're not really aware of it, but I'm just going to show you a video. But TalkSport reported it earlier today, and basically there was a suggestion that there was a party at the Dubois household before the fight, and Daniel was in this party with, you know, apparently some Nigerian rappers, people taking selfie videos with him, and basically just partying. I'm going to show you the video and just let me know what you think of this. And obviously this is, I'm assuming it's more than likely on fight day, because the top that Daniel's wearing is the top that he walked into the venue wearing. Let me show you this.
It looks like it's in a gym.
That's his gym in the house. Yeah. So, and then obviously that's all the people outside his house with the cars. So on the following of that, we'll talk about that in a second, but he basically arrived at the venue. There was a suggestion that he turned up with all them people at the venue, and apparently there was no tickets for them. And then this is again reported by Talksport that the dad basically said, well, if we can't get tickets, we're not coming, then the fight's off. So, but then they've come back, I don't know how long after, but they arrived at the venue at 8:16 p.m. and his ring walk was at 6 minutes past 10. So an hour and 50 minutes later, he was walking to the ring. So initially talk to me about this party on the day of a fight, before a fight.
I think the only people who used to party before battle with the Vikings were, and it used to get pissed up and, you know, dull the senses and then go and have a fight. But they were going to proper die if they, you know, if they were into battle. It was a do or die situation. So maybe it's the same mentality. But look, it's not the first time I've seen this happen. I've had this happen with fighters or known of fighters doing it, and you know, all the backslappers turning up, all these people, he's going to win this, he's going to win that. Well, where are they going to be now? Because he got beat easily. And who didn't tell him that he's not actually the A side of the card? The A side of that card was USYK. So I'd have kept it very low key. He wouldn't be having a party because realistically, I don't even think Daniel thought he was going to win that fight. So it's no good having all these people turning up, all these celebrities, you know, getting drunk and having a party on your behalf when it's you going and doing the fighting and they're doing all the shouting. I see we got some guy in there who looked like, you know, he was a cheerleader. Like, remember Croc, who used to roll up with Tyson and Mike McCallum. He used to shout. Got the bush hat on the glasses. Used to wear the combats. You probably won't remember him.
No.
And he was the warm up man, I think, for Mike Tyson. So there's always one, isn't there? But realistically, you know, should you be doing that before a big fight, massive fight? No. But in all honesty, did it change the outcome? No, it didn't change the outcome. It wouldn't matter what Daniel DUBOIS had done, whether he had a party, whether he'd been in a room on himself, whether that's a technique to take his mind off it, I don't know. Whether his dad was celebrating all the money they were going to get, I don't know. But, you know, it wouldn't be my way. And I could tell you 10, 15, 20 stories about dads being involved with fighters. There's a story for everyone. There's a story for Johnny. There's a story for Naz. There's a story for Kel. I'm not going to tell those stories, but there's a story for everybody with dads and boxers. But that's you know, a ridiculous thing to do, have a big party before, get to the venue, trying to jimmy your mates in, and there's no tickets, and then going off and off, and then you're not boxing. Well, he's contracted to box, and if you don't turn up, he's going to get sued, innit? So imagine dad making that kind of move. It's got to be questioned, and Daniel DUBOIS got to question his dad's motives and the relationship, really, because where is he now? Is he finished? Can he come back from that? You know, is anybody ever going to put him in a fight again? I don't know, because he, you know, it was pretty decisive what happened. He probably could have got up, but he probably thought, nah, I'm going to get flattened here. I'll be out on my back asleep. I'm not going to do that. And you know, he chose to stay down and just rise on the 9.5 when the referee waved it off.
With regards to that, I'm going to talk about the fight, but with regards to that event, have you ever come across anything like that before, where the actual fighter is part of the party and the event just before his fight?
No, I haven't. Remember we had the story about Naz going to McDonald's before a big fight. That was you know, probably the worst thing. And we had a fighter years ago called Sullivan and Baye, who I trained. He came to me for his last fight, and Greg Marriott did his weight cut. And the night before, he said to Greg, "We're having a party before the fight." And Greg went, "What?" He went, No. It's a tradition. We always do it." He went, No, you're going to bed. And Greg dragged him off to bed and put him in bed, and you know, he had the fight. He goes, "Oh, we always go to a disco and dance." And I says, "Not on this time, you know." But I've never heard of that happening. But events before fights, yeah, things happening before fights, rolling up with all the entourage, you've got angers on and people trying to jimmy, and especially when Naz was about, it used to happen all the time. People, "I know Naz, I'm Naz's brother's, you know, pal or whatever, or Barber's pal or somebody," and they'd all roll up with an excuse trying to get him for free. So yeah, it does happen.
From your experience, I know you work with kids with autism and learning difficulties, and you're always obviously helping them out in the gym, so you've got good experience of dealing with them kind of kids, and obviously they react to situations differently. Could, you know, because a lot of people are going to be slamming Dan's dad about this, but could there be an element of that potentially helping him for the fight? Because it is like an odd thing to like a normal person, but could there be an element of that?
Well, the thing is, you've also got to look at the point that whichever way you look at it, whatever his dad's done, if we're going to try and find some positives in this, he's got him to this point, you understand, in a big fight. Hopefully he's made a good few million quid, Daniel DUBOIS, and he never has to box again. So even after getting beat by Joe Joyce, they brought him back, whatever method they used to get him back, they used to get him back. So you can look at this as a negative, and it's just one thing that we know about. There might have been things like might have happened like this all the time, but we're not aware of. But whichever way it is, whichever way his dad operates, is they've got him to this point. So, you know, there's that side to look at as well. It might be normal in their family. It might have been something to take his mind off it. Who knows? You know, and also say it's not something I would have. It's not something I would do. It's not something I would allow to be done. And this is why I don't really want parents being involved with the fighters I've got and having any say, because it's a totally different perspective. And it causes arguments and it causes bollocks. You don't need it, and you have to try. They want you to compromise what you want to do with the fight, and I won't ever compromise. So, you know, that came to a situation when when he boxed Crawford, and I was offered to train for the fight. I'm not going to do it. You know, I spoke to his dad and says, I don't think he's ready. They made a choice, that was their choice. But, you know, I stand my ground and said, I'm not doing it on the terms and conditions that it is, the time frame, where I think he's in. I'm not going to do it. Not for all the, you know, the Team China. So, because once you start with that, you're always going to be held to that. So, you know, you have to stand strong. But who knows whether this is normal for them or not. But it's not the first time it'll have happened.
I spoke to Don Charles about the timings. Obviously, you can tell me because you've cornered millions of corners. Don said he's more than happy with 2 hours before fight time. Obviously, you tell me for that kind of level of fight, what would have been the right time for him to turn up if his ring walk was 10 p.m, for example?
Yeah, everybody's different. Johnny Nelson, in his last fight, he went to Italy, and Johnny never liked being in the venue. Some fighters go there 4 hours before. Johnny just wanted to get in and get out. I can remember Johnny walking in, I think maybe 90 minutes before he boxed. We went up onto the top floor of this like Coliseum building, and he looked down and he saw the place packed. He went down. My dad wrapped his hands as quick as he could. He did a few rounds on pads. Right, I'm ready to go. And within 90 minutes from walking in, he was walking out. Did the splits in the ring and beat a kid called Vincenzo Cantatore in his hometown. Hammered him. And Johnny won because Johnny didn't want to be there too long. You know what I mean? Johnny didn't like going abroad before a fight for too long. He wanted to be 2 or 3 days max. The only time he went for a long time was when he boxed in Vegas. He went 10 days before to acclimatise. So some people like to be in the venue early, and some people they only want to be switched on as soon as you walk in and get it done there. But I'm on it. I'm on the thing. You don't want to be pacing up and down the changing room, having people coming in and out for 4 hours, being in that place of execution, so to speak. They want to get in and get the job done. So it's whatever works for him. I mean, getting the hands wrapped, how long does it take? Everybody's different. But for me, we never used to go into venues probably 2.5, 2 hours max if we got one fighter on.
Okay, you couldn't make it up, but obviously Ben Davison recently revealed that when AJ fought Dubois, they were stuck in traffic for hours, and obviously they didn't want to get there 2 hours before, but they got there similar sort of time.
But this is the other thing that.
Wembley Stadium is chock-a-block.
Look, you'll make that mistake once.
I'll also tell you further context. USYK was staying in a hotel in central London, so I think they made a slight mistake on that because they were travelling for an hour plus every day to the events. But on fight day, what they did was he came early, so he came about 11 in the morning and stayed in the Hilton.
Yeah, but why don't when Mayweather and Mayweather and Conor McGregor did their thing at Wembley. We had a show on ITV the day before, and they did the stuff in the Wembley Arena the next day, and they hired out floors in the Hilton. We stayed in there. Why on earth wouldn't you stay in the Hilton bang next to Wembley, and it's just a walk across? Why wouldn't you do that? So because London's a nightmare. Why would you want to be travelling in traffic for an hour getting stuck? Anything could happen. Middle London to Wembley, it's difficult enough on the tube. So I just don't get it why they won't stay next to the venue, or why it's not even contracted that they need to stay next to the venue so there's no hiccups. It's ridiculous, really. So, all that travelling, you don't want to be travelling before a fight. Every time we used to box abroad or box in England, we'd always be in a hotel with big fights, no more than 5-10 minutes from the venue, so you could just walk in. So that's what we always stipulated. We need to be close. I remember one time Nicola Adams boxed, and the hotel.
Forgot you trained her.
The hotel, she boxed in the copper box, and the hotel was somewhere like an hour away. And I remember going to the weigh-in, and it took forever. And coming back to the hotel, and I just said to the organisers or whoever it was, why have you put us this far out? you know, way front venue. We want to be bang next to it, especially when she's having to make weight. So sometimes those mistakes are made, but you make it once, and then whenever you have your fighter, we always say, right, these are the things we need. We need to be in an hotel. Well, that's not the team hotel, because it doesn't matter. If we ain't main fight, we want to be 10 minutes away from it. We're not messing about travelling, getting there. Same even when Billy Joe Saunders went to Canada. We were close to the venue. We got it all planned out. We checked the traffic. We checked the route. Make sure every day we might be on a sat nav thing, checking what the traffic is, and we know exactly, you know, what the distance was and how long we're going to be doing it. Because there's nothing more frustrating or nerve-wracking when you're on the way to a fight and you're getting delayed and everybody starts getting on an edge. It puts the fight on edge when you've done everything else perfect. Just that bit of wrong planning at the end can actually set a lot off. But I don't think it would have changed the result. You know, whatever DUBOIS did, and maybe he knew that was coming anyway, and probably thought, well, you might as well make the most of it.
Well, then we talk about the corner work's been another big talking topic, and to be fair, this and it's worth highlighting this. It's worked for him in the last 3 fights. He's had 3 big wins as the underdog, but obviously a lot of people are highlighting, and Spencer Fearon talked about it the other day, with regards to you know, Daniel not listening to his coaches, but he kept looking outside the ring to his dad for instructions. It just reminds me of that video of you in Dubai the other week, where I think you told someone to shut up. So I can only imagine what you would have done in that situation.
Well, you know,
tell me how you deal with that, and is that right or wrong?
Well, I've had situations like that. I remember when Kell Brook boxed Carson Jones, and he got his nose busting about the 7th. I had every Tom, Dick and Harry at the side of the ring coming up and shouting through the rope, and just told them to F off, keep your nose out. And the commentators, Dominic Ingle's losing his cool. It's like, no, I'm not. I know what I'm doing. What am I listening to idiots at the side of the ring for? Shouting up instruction who ain't got a clue about what he needs to be doing. Do you understand? The last thing you want to be doing when your fighter's in trouble is somebody from outside of the ring shouting up instructions to distract him. And what I tend to do is just put my hand there and keep the face on me and have them looking at me and listen to what I'm telling them, because that's what's going to get them through the fight, not what somebody at the ringside thinks is gonna do it. So yeah, it's
But you make of that mix, though. Obviously Don Charles, experienced coach, he's got Kieran Farrell.
We've had this with Tyson Fury's dad, Sugar Hill. You know,
I think John was actually in the corner though.
Yeah. I'm
saying, dad was sat
ringside. And I thought what John was saying was actually, you know, it was good advice. And people saying, oh, his dad got involved. I think what John was saying was right, but he shouldn't be doing that. And it must be frustrating for Don Charles for not to have that respect of his fighter, to be listening to what he's saying. It's kind of undermining him, but it's all worked out, you know, calm or whatever. He's got beat, hasn't he? Because he hasn't stuck to the plan, whatever it is. I mean, when he got chinned, everybody knows that's Usyk's, you know, peach of a punch Sunday shot. The left hook off the back, bang. And where's DUBOIS' hand? It's down here. He's like, just get your hand up, at least take some of that. He managed to catch Tyson with that shot. And it's a devastating shot. Tyson rode it extremely well. And Usyk almost punched himself out, trying to knock Tyson out. But that just shows you how tough Tyson is, to take all them unanswered shots and still manage to stay on his feet. And it's had everybody else over. So you know that shot's coming, and everything else is throwing Usyk as a southpaw. Do you understand? The little feints off the backhand, the missing with the right hook, is all to set up. He's already setting you up 3 shots in it before what he's going to hit you with. He's going to hit you with that powerful shot. Do you understand? He was probably surprised in the first fight that he actually managed to put DUBOIS down with just that little pokey right hand, because his Sunday punch is the left hook. So, you know, listening to 3 or 4 people in the corner, it's not for me. I don't have it. I don't work with anybody else in the corner. I'm the main coach, and I shout the instructions. If it works out, it's down to me. If I give him the wrong advice, it's down to me again, isn't it? So,
well, Spencer also said he's speculating that Don and the other coaches would get their P45s, and he suggested they should resign before they do that happens. But I also said, well, 1 fight ago he was British Trainer of the Year, Don Charles. How do you go from being Trainer of the Year with 3 big wins as the underdog to losing your job fighting one of the best ever?
Yeah, you don't need to resign, does he? Let DUBOIS and his dad make the choice. At the end of the day, as a coach, you're being hired by the fighter, aren't you? And that's the thing. But, you know, with us, with the likes of Naz, Kell Brook and Johnny Nelson, we weren't hired as the coaches, were we? Because we brought them up from that size. We coached them from kids. we actually made the decision, whether are we going to coach these people? So we're not in that same position. It's not like, oh, they're picking us out of the crowd, because we've developed them from kids and we brought them all the way through. And then, you know, as with Naz, they saw, as my dad used to say, he thought he was chocolate and he could eat himself, that he actually then started telling me dad how to train him. You know what I mean? When my dad had spent years and years telling him how to do it, then all of a sudden he became more knowledgeable than master. He never did. He thought he did. But thinking that you are doesn't mean you can. So it's a bit of a different situation for us. We've never really been in that situation with fighters, apart from the other ones when we've had people like Liam Williams, Billy Joe Saunders come to us. Yeah, we got hired as coaches, then different kettle of fish. So, you know, let DUBOIS and his dad make the decision what they're going to do with the coaches. It won't make any difference who he's trained by now. I think he's come his full circle, Daniel. And like I say, technically he's not great, and USYK exploited his lack of technical ability very, very easily, dismantled him. And that's the blueprint. And I think Tyson Fury would do I think Tyson did some kind of live video or something saying the same thing, that you know, USYK made easy work of him. And I think Tyson also said, you know, there's no point me fighting Joshua realistically, because there's no point. He's damaged goods again. You know, I want the fight with USYK. So let's see what happens. But you're probably guaranteed that he's going to get the sack or whatever, or they're going to part ways.
What did you make of the ending of the fight? Dave Allen's said he feels like he quit, and Chisora said the same. What did you think?
Well, he could have got up, couldn't he? He could have got up, but he probably just thought to himself, why? Because once USYK had you down, obviously in the first fight he got dropped, then he got done the second time. He probably had that flashing through his mind and probably thought, oof, I'm going there again. So he probably learned from that first fight not to get up.
But Carl Froch made comment on the first knockdown, saying that it wasn't even a proper shot. I don't know what you thought of that right hook.
Well, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but like I say, you know, Carl Froch, when you think how heavily he went down against George Grove, absolutely gone, and then got back into the fight, you know, he kind of got himself back into it and finished the fight. So when you look at people like DUBOIS doing that, you think, well, yeah, he has quit, hasn't he? Because he could have got up, but he probably got up. If he'd have got up, he'd have known what were coming. He were going to get laid out, stretched out, and probably done him bad. And psychologically, you know, that's probably even worse than quitting for him.
But the impact of that punch, his mouth guard went flying as well. So could it be a case that his head, like, it must have been spinning, like, you know?
Well, not necessarily, it could just be a poor mouth guard, believe it or not, because good mouth guards don't really come out. It's hard to get them out. So I won't put too much weight on that it must have been such a fantastic shot that his gum shield come flying out, because not everybody has a fantastic fitting gum shield. So we can get rid of that thing, yeah.
Finally, on USYK, for you, I know I think a couple of years ago, I get the feeling you wasn't fully sold on him. But now that you've seen what he's done, cleaned up everybody in this era, two questions for you. Is there anyone that can actually beat him in this era?
But the only person who has caused him problems, to be honest, Joshua didn't do bad with him in the first fight. But the only person really, and I honestly do think Tyson won the first fight. I was there. I thought he'd won it. I was surprised when he didn't. The second fight, you could make a case for either, but USYK got it. So, but then again, Tyson's head and shoulders above all the other fighters. His head and shoulders above Joshua, DUBOIS, Chisora. Look how easy he beat Chisora. All the fighters he's ever boxed, Tyson, right at the British level, he beat him easy enough. You know, people say, well, John McDermott, whatever. But realistically, when you think Tyson, when he got hit by USYK in that fight, and it was a good shot, and he was like more or less out on his feet, he stayed on his feet. He got the heart. He weren't going to go down. He couldn't put him down, and he got his hands down, and USYK was hitting him with everything, and he still took it. That's the kind of heart you've got, and you can't give that to somebody. You've got to be born with it. You've got to have it within you. And I just don't think Daniel DUBOIS got it. I don't think Joshua's got it. Carl Froch has definitely got it. There are a few fighters who've got it, but it's something that can't be taught. It's just got to be built into you.
Where does Usyk rank in the all-time list for you now? I don't know. I can't remember if I've asked you, bro. Who do you think is the greatest heavyweight of all time in your
Well,
opinion?
that's debatable, isn't it? You know, people will say Muhammad Ali. They'll say, you know, they'll say Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't think Usyk beats Lennox Lewis. I don't think Usyk would beat Mike Tyson in his prime. You know, I just don't. But in this modern time, with the people that's available, the fighters that the heavyweights are available, he's done extremely well. Usyk. I don't think he'd beat Holyfield.
Does he make like a top 5 or top 10 all-time list?
He makes the top 10. Definitely makes the top 10. But not. You know, I just don't think. I just don't see him beating the likes of Lennox Lewis. That era of fighters, some good fighters in that era. Some very extremely heavy punchers, some vicious heavyweights, and I just don't think Usyk would measure up to them.
And if you was Usyk, what would you do next? Would you retire, or would you, if you still got the hunger?
Well, if people are paying him loads of money and his incentive is to get as much money as he can, just keep turning it. Well, he can do it, and he's still got the hunger to do it and the desire to do it, which it seems like he obviously has. Keep doing it, you know. And then when the fight presents itself, that he probably might have second thoughts about, then don't do it. But you know, I think Tyson's banging on about fighting him again. It's probably a massive money fight. If that can be made and Usyk wants to do it, it's going to be a massive money fight. Well, he's beat Tyson twice. Why not go for it again?
I will say, I don't know if when he won last time around in Riyadh, he did like an event the following day. He actually flies over 30 to 40 Ukrainian soldiers who have been injured in battle. He flies them over, covers them financially to watch the show. He did the same again, and I was one of the very lucky ones that he invited around yesterday as well. So I got to see, he literally spent 2.5 hours with these soldiers talking, doing signing stuff for them, taking pictures with them. I've got some footage from that coming out soon. But as a human and as a person, what do you think of him?
No, it's fantastic that you do that, because you'd be surprised how many fighters have made fortunes and they will not, you know, they give you nothing. They give you absolutely nothing, and they've made fortunes. And with him, you've got to give him credit for doing that, because he's got money. He's doing that for people. He's showing his human side. He's helping his fellow countrymen, and he's helping. I think Manny Pacquiao did a lot of stuff with people in the Philippines. That was another great thing. But it happens very rarely, and it's great to see, because he's giving back in. He's giving back to the fans. He's giving back to his people, and he's going to be well liked for that. He's not seen as some greedy fighter who thinks that he deserves. Well, he does deserve everything he gets, but like, why should I share with anybody? I've had to put all the hard work in. You know, he's got some humility about him.
That's pretty much it about that fight.
The most powerful trait we have. You need power, speed. Let your imagination do the rest.
Undisputed, the Mexican Monster Pack out now.